Order, it is 7:41.
All right.
We do not have any public participation. Oh, and I'll take notes.
Okay. Yep.
So I think the first thing on our list was to review the goals and initiatives that we talked about at the retreat. So great, since you weren't there, we can talk through those. But we had done sort of an exercise of people putting ideas up of like what they thought could be interesting, and then we grouped them by what seemed to go together in a relevant committee. And the green business one, the big initiative was roll out the green business committee, sort of like just about that. Yep. The other sort of bullet points that we had captured were recognition of green businesses. Yep. And I do think we could think more expansively about what that could be. Yep. Support businesses making changes through coaching, shared purchasing, et cetera. Yep. Again, also an element of what we had talked about already. Yep. And encourage businesses to electrify their fleets. Okay. So, that's sort of the next step after the EV showcase of like, can we do something similar but more business oriented to help, identify businesses that could electrify and how we can help them do that. So very cool. Those were the things that we had discussed at the retreat.
Awesome. I like those.
Anything else that you would think of?
Relating to the green business? Mm-hmm. I mean, I have so many ideas, but I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. Yeah, I just feel like there's a lot of barriers for businesses. That's like my main thing with everyone, is that I just feel like it seems very insurmountable to a lot of business owners that I talk to. It just almost seems like too much work, like the juice isn't worth the squeeze kind of mentality. And maybe part of that is education, but I do think part of it is like really maybe a little bit of that hand holding, or at least taking like presenting something that's they're able to sink their teeth into and say, okay, I can do this, Right. So,
right. If there are ways to make it easier for them.
Right.
And that's, I think like the shared purchasing notion is like one maybe example of that. Like if we've come up with a list of some vendors for, more sustainable packaging or what have you, and, like plenty of places now need paper grocery bags instead of plastic. Can we just buy them in some good discount?
Right.
So that it is not the cost, the cost is not so hard for that particular business.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a great business model actually for somebody who's considering it. Like, if like all the businesses need something, like, business that's green and can provide that. But like something like that. I just feel like it's for them to do it on their own. It's a lot for them. People who are motivated, like myself and yourself, like it's something that's meaningful to me. I don't need as much, but that's what I'm seeing. I work at a couple of places in Wakefield that I just do consulting at, and I'm just amazed at the coffee plastic stirrers and the plastic cups, and there's styrofoam in there, and there's paper towels everywhere, and there's, it's medical too. So there's a lot of latex gloves. It's just the amount of waste that's disposed of is just, it's a lot. So,
and there are going to be parts of that are easy to address and parts that aren't, right? Like, maybe gloves is just a thing that's, can't really do much about that. That is regulation. And it's just the way it is.
That's what it is.
But the stirrers,
and
like maybe that doesn't make an enormous difference in the world, but if you're like committing to doing some things.
And also I think that, like, I guess in my mind, like if you're throwing out all these gloves, right, which you kind of have to assume, it's like, well, can we offset that by maybe making some greener choices on the other things so that we're not creating overall to this way? So I feel like that big picture is just like, it's almost like your carbon footprint, like that whole concept is like that big picture is just, as a business, I just don't think they think of the volume and the amount of things like,
like I wonder then, like, would like waste audit of your business,
like something that's like, how can I decrease certain things if I'm going to be using X, Y, and Z over here, right? Just something to decrease it overall. But I would say that probably like my one thing would be if like helping just to create some sort of either package or like starter package, like something like that, that I can, as a business owner, wrap my head around and say, okay, start here. Here's the package, like the basic level thing, make X, Y, and Z changes, just so businesses can at least have a blueprint of saying, okay, well, I'll make these changes,
Right. Yep.
something like that. Yeah, that would probably be my main thing for
Right.
this.
Because I think if we roll this out without any sort of support or like roadmaps for folks to follow, it's
right.
There are a few businesses that will be able to go down the list and say, yep, we do these things, hooray for us. And that's great. Maybe we can still, that may still be valuable just to celebrate those ones that have already gotten ahead, but it may not be enough to get folks to change.
Definitely.
So
definitely. And there's probably, I'm going to guess, many businesses that if they look at a list like that, it creates a lot of shame and a lot of shutting down of like, I don't even want to do this because I don't do any of these things. So I'm not even gonna open myself to this. So, we got to start somewhere and help. Yeah. So that's probably my main thought.
And so the next thing that I've had on the agenda was to review the survey and any other feedback we've gotten from any other businesses. We've had no new takers of the survey, so we've had the 5.
Okay. I know. I think I should take it. I just haven't received it. I don't know, which is.
Well, and I think last time we talked, we said like, is it worth?
Right. Is it even worth?
Like doing more promo to try to get more people to take it, or do we just want to roll it out as an MVP or as a pilot and like learn some things, and we'll make some adjustments.
I like that.
And if we're going to start like going door to door to tell people to try a thing, it should be the program itself, not the survey about the program.
Definitely. I agree.
We didn't get a whole lot of great insight from the program other than like general interest and some interest in, as we were saying, like trainings or webinars or shared supplies or things like that. So
absolutely.
Oh yeah, one of them mentioned town recycling center for us to bring boxes. And I did reply to them and said, great news, you can bring your boxes to the pit, but also that's only available certain times. So that's harder. I was also actually thinking about that from like a compost perspective. Like the places that don't have a lot of space to keep something, like could there be like downtown a centralized recycling catchment area thing where people can bring stuff?
Just makes it easier. Makes it easier for them. Do these businesses, they have to pay for recycling service, is that right?
I think they must,
That's right. Because I know like one of the clinics that I go to, like they don't recycle. I'm like, and it just stinks because it's just such a bigger business than mine. I'm like, so and that was kind of the feedback I just gotten through the grapevine. It wasn't official, but it was kind of like they don't pay for that service. I was like, how can we help with that if that's the barrier to recycling? Is these
yes, but also, I mean, per the waste, like the state waste mandates, you're
right.
Like you are not, just like we're not allowed to put textiles in the trash. Like
right.
Recyclables are not allowed to go in the trash.
Exactly. I know. Yeah.
So
but I'm like, I guess nobody's really.
I don't think there's any real enforcement.
There's none. And
or I guess what we heard from Gretchen Carey, the recycling expert, was that like at the truck level, right, at the hauler could identify like, ooh, there's a lot of cardboard. It would have to be like pretty egregious kind of stuff, like wow, there's just a crap ton of cardboard boxes in your trash. That's not okay. So like the hauler could identify it, but there's no incentive for them to do so. Once they've picked it up and it gets dumped at the trash processing, there's no incentive there for them to like write it up. plus by that time, they don't know whose stuff it was, if like multiple businesses or homes things got mixed in one truck. So
Right.
this is just like very poorly enforced.
Okay. And then I don't know if you know, or I can look it up somehow, but like just what the cost would be. Like, I'm just wondering if we have that information of like, oh, I just have no idea like what that service would cost. And obviously it's cost prohibitive to businesses and,
Well, and I imagine it's also different depending on, like if you're in a business where there's a landlord and
Right.
there's like centralized dumpsters for, this
Yep.
set of stores together,
Mhm.
that's different than if it's just, your one standalone shop.
Right. Right.
Um,
So it's probably landlords. I'm thinking of like Lakeside Office Plaza that has like, tons of businesses in there. Obviously, they have a trash service, but they do not have a recycling service from what I gather. And if they do, I'm not sure if that's either like something that's decided just based on the independent business owner.
yeah, that would be a great area for Julie to weigh in on.
Yeah, just to kind of see just some of those the heavy hitters,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because either large landlords that aggregate a lot of businesses or big businesses, right?
Or
Like,
big businesses, like something where we can, if you can get them to make that change, that's a
yeah,
huge that's a huge thing.
yeah.
Um,
I do wonder, is it worth us doing any sort of auditing ourselves of like, what are the biggest waste producing businesses in town?
oh, that's true.
Does Shaw's recycle?
Right.
I'm sure they have a lot of cardboard boxes.
Yes, I can only imagine.
What are
And
their, and how much, and obviously there are differences in how much you can change the policies of a chain type
Mhm.
store than, a
Right.
mom and pop shop. But I do wonder, where are the worst offenders from
I agree.
either waste or energy or,
I totally agree. Yep. I know. It's good to think about.
yeah. Um,
Even like I was at Shaw's the other day and I was buying flowers for, a coworker. And I was like, okay, so all these flowers, like they're obviously not all bought. So I'm like, are these being composted? Likely not. I'm like, so they're probably going into landfills. I was like, I'm hoping they're like put somewhere, but I was like, maybe they're donated. I don't, I'm not sure, but
it might be composted
it might be
because
composted. Okay. That'd be great.
I don't I think it's organics. I don't know if flowers count in organics, but the state regulation around like organics are also prohibited from the waste stream, but only if you are above a certain volume,
Okay.
which Shaw's would certainly be, because I'm sure they have to
Yeah.
toss a whole lot of
Yeah.
organic stuff. So if you're above a certain volume, then you have to compost it or have some other solution. You can like
Yeah.
send it to a farm full of pigs.
Right. Right.
So I think actually of all of the businesses in town, Shaw's is almost certainly one of the ones that is required to have a solution for their organic waste, as
Okay.
opposed to like the florist in the center of town. I'm
Right.
sure their volume is not,
Not that big. Good.
but it would be wonderful to know, like, well, what do they do with the bouquets that are kind of,
Yeah, right.
not
Like
getting sold? Do they bring them over to Brightview? Could we encourage, like, how could we encourage
totally.
those sorts of things?
Totally. Like and like just in my head, I'm like, what a beautiful thing for like middle schoolers or high schoolers to do is like community service. Like you go to the flower shop, you pick up the flowers, you go to Brightview, you bring them. I'm like, we can connect the dots here, Like,
Right. And wouldn't that be,
wouldn't that be just a wonderful way to just, I don't know.
yeah.
Connect the dots, I guess. But yeah, so maybe thinking about, I guess we'll call them the biggest offenders. They're people who are creating the most amount of waste.
Well, or the biggest offenders or the low hanging fruit. Like that one
Yeah.
to me feels like a low hanging fruit. Like I have no idea. I haven't had a conversation with the florist. I've no
Right.
clue, or any of the other flower
Yeah.
type places. But wouldn't we love to tell that story?
Right.
Right. Even if it's like a pretty small volume, it would be a lovely thing to be able to point to and say, hey, this is happening now. Isn't this store great? Aren't these students great? Isn't this a lovely
Totally.
thing? How could your business do something similar?
Mhm.
Do you have
Absolutely.
a waste that could be someone else's benefit? Do you have a way to share supplies with your neighbor business? Like
Right.
any
Right.
of that kind of thing.
Exactly. Just,
Yeah.
yeah, that would be really nice.
So I think the next thing was, what are the immediate next steps to actually launch this thing?
Okay. Right.
And I think we had started to talk about that in the prior, like, waste reduction committee, and then we said, let's, pump the brakes. Let's wait until there's a fresh committee so that we can decide what to do. And here we are. So
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so in terms of logistics of what it would take to roll this out, what are like the steps? And then maybe we can create a loose timeline of some sort.
yeah. And I do really, it's a bummer that Julie's not here. I do really want her take also on some of these ideas, because I
For
do
sure,
think she's
yeah.
very connected to some of like the businesses and orgs in town.
Cool.
So maybe part of what we do is like, here's the list, and then we catch her at a next opportune time.
Ask Julie.
The right. Julie. I think, I mean, one kind of obvious step is to actually make the form that they would fill out.
Yep, okay.
And I think that's as simple as taking the page that you have with the bullet points and plunking that into a Google form, right?
Yep. So that would be a Google form that they would fill out, right?
Yes. Yep. And that's an easy thing. I'm happy to do that.
Okay. What do we call that? Just so we have a name.
Right. We do need, I mean, I was thinking this would just be called the Wakefield Green Business Program, but we could certainly come up with a jazzier name.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I mean, do we want it to be, we could almost just like do it together right
now.
Yeah. Or at least like do the first question worth.
Yep, that's fine.
Because I want to sort of workshop this just a smidge. Let me, well, we'll just start with a blank form. Can you see you can't see my screen. Hold on.
Yep.
One moment, please. Can you pull up the list of things?
Yeah, let me see.
That would help. Because like I think part of what I'm wondering is like, do we want each thing, like use EVs in your fleet? Do we want like yes, no? Sorry, yes, no. Like each one of these is a yes, no. I don't think we want other. Like each one's a separate question. Do we want what do you do? And
Right. Right.
cycle things,
Right.
EVs, solar, compost, like have it like this. We could do, like in something like this, we could explain, this is worth 5 points. I guess we could do the same thing here, right? This could be one.
The green business thing real quick.
And like, do we want to give people the space to add color commentary? Thanks.
Right.
Like,
I feel like
do you use EVs in your fleet? Tell us more, right? And like, because maybe they want to say, well, we have one in our fleet of 17 vehicles. And like, we'll need to decide how to adjudicate any of these things. Do they get the full 5 points for that, or just because they've started?
Yeah, yeah, that's all part of the
and I think some of that we won't even begin to figure out until we start to get answers, right? Like we'll have to look at what's coming in and say like, oh yeah, I think that's good enough.
And
be
this doesn't,
some
the
judgment.
The Google form doesn't do math for us, right? Like,
No, it would just like dump into a spreadsheet and we'd then just be able to sort of tally the math.
to kind of tally them. Okay, because I'm
That
just
part won't be hard.
okay, and I'm just wondering in terms of like maybe that's easier, especially for like the one pointers, like, you know, if they're all kind of listed out and then people are
Like
just
this.
like, yeah, like that. And it's just you're going through them just good, and then for us on the other end, it's easier to just be like, okay, they have, you know, okay, they have 9 of these or something like that. In terms of the points, like that would just be easy. The one pointers can just be like that.
Yeah.
You know, and then maybe some of the other ones, there's more, you know, areas for comments or things like that.
Yeah, or we could like have like this and then at the end of this one, you know, color commentary about that,
Right.
if needed.
Right. Um,
Uh,
or even if you, yeah, or you just say anything to add or like something like
okay.
that.
Right.
Right. Just, yeah, like anything you'd like to add. Yeah, I just think maybe we should make it as like condensed as possible.
It's
Just
easy. Yeah, because like having to do this each, you know, like
correct. Like if
scrolling
somebody
down.
saw there's like 35 questions, they might be like, no. But if they're
And we could do
looking
this as like, what do you do? These are each 1 point.
right, but just
And
click on
then there's a next one that is, you know,
that's what
what
I
are
was thinking. Yeah.
these? And these are the
Yep,
3 points. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. Something like that where there's just the big main things and then they can just fill it out.
So I feel like there's another. Right, we could do it as a grid, like if there were, yes. No, like we would not want that to be checkboxes. Yes, and could use support. Like if we these um oh that you can't really see it until you preview. So um you know, like
yeah,
letting them say like this is a thing I do, but and or like this is an area where like I really could use some support on recycling.
I'm even thinking like we do a step before that and just gauge their interest in it. Like composting, yes, like interested, you know, like are you interested in composting for your business or like I
Right.
just
Well, yeah, we could make
right.
that
Oh, up there. Yeah. Like just
get out of here. Right, like already doing this.
right. Already doing this. Could you support? Interested, but you know, or something like that.
Mhm.
Just so we can kind of
Yeah.
gauge if they even want help or if they're, you know.
Right, because there could be things, oh, doesn't apply to my business,
Yeah, that's a good one.
right? Because there are some where, you know, we're a law office, we serve no food, there are no
Yep.
straws. It just does not apply. Um, you know, so it's not that I'm disinterested in that thing. I'm
Right.
not
Right.
doing it because it doesn't
Not
apply.
exactly. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. And then maybe, I mean, for a no would, I mean, as much as we don't want to hear a no, maybe just like not ready for this yet or something, you know, like something for there.
Well, I think
Or maybe they just don't click one of those.
they would just not click one of
Yeah, just
those,
not
right?
click it. Yeah.
Because like you could make this a not a checkbox grid, but a multiple choice grid, but then you could only select one of those. And I
Yeah.
think we do want people to be able to express that, like, I'm doing this, but I could use support, or
Oh, I
I'm
get that. Okay.
interested, but could use support.
Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah, the more options probably,
Right.
the more
And
we'll learn
like,
about.
we don't want it to be confusing, but we at least
Yep.
like
Yeah.
get that kind of interest.
Oh, yeah.
Um, what else I was thinking of?
Yeah, just gauging where we can help. It sounds sort of like the Post-its, like, you know, just narrowing down like what areas a lot of these
Mhm.
businesses are either interested in or need support in, and then maybe
Right.
focusing our efforts there.
Right, because if everyone wants support in composting and
Right.
nobody wants support about EVs, then
Exactly.
we
Yeah.
don't we don't move that forward as quickly.
Mhm.
Um, I wonder, I wonder if it would be worth having a question also that is like, tell us about anything you're especially proud of
Mm.
in this area. Like we take our
Oh, yeah.
flowers and we bring them to Brightview. Like if there could, because part of what I'm so not a marketing person, but this one is just like really striking my marketing
Yeah,
bone.
yeah.
Like I want us to be able to celebrate the things that people are doing.
I like that.
So, like there are some of these that maybe like also just sort of won't like
Mhm.
fit so well in some of the categories. So if someone wants to tell us a story about how, like the lawn care people,
Mhm.
they put up these like rain catcher things. They were so excited to tell me about this when I saw them when
Yeah.
we're like trying to do the EV thing.
Yeah.
They have these rain catchers, like giant rain barrels that they then dump into these giant things on the backs of their trucks, and they like use almost no tap water in
Oh,
all of the like lawn care they do because they just collect rainwater just like we do in our gardens, but they do it at
yeah.
lawn care
Greater
scale.
level. How awesome.
And it was just so cool, like, and then if they tell us something that's cool, we can follow up, we can get some pictures, we can write up little, like I think there's some nice synergy between this and the like community engagement stuff. Like I would love for us to start putting something in the item or the patch every couple
Totally.
of weeks of like, here's this cool thing this business is doing. Like each business that bothers to tell us a story, we write up about it and like help inspire other businesses that also use water to catch some rain.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea because I think it happens a lot more than people think it does. Like we're a small community, but I know with like I had this other business before and I did a lot of shipping and like I didn't want to buy bubble wrap because one, it's expensive, but two, it's just very environmentally not friendly. And in my head, I was like, everybody gets Amazon packages. So I reached out to the community, Wakefield community. I said, hey, I'm a small business. And people, I'm not kidding, bags and bags. Like my attic is filled with more bubble wrap than I can even tell you. I have enough bubble wrap to run my business for 5 years. It's a separate thing. And like all of that would have just gone into the waste. Like they just would have gone in. And I'm like, that's a story that like people can support, especially these smaller businesses, like
Right.
things that we
Right. And
throw.
there's so much of that. Like, then if, five other businesses all said, ooh, we could do that too,
Yeah, it's like,
it would be easy, there's plenty of that to go around. It'd be easy for other businesses also to collect that or to share it or whatever. And,
I mean, yeah,
and you put a little note in your, whatever you're shipping that says reminder, this can be recycled with the grocery bags at the front of
yeah,
your supermarket, like
yeah,
you can
something.
just start like actually getting it out into the common consciousness.
Exactly. And I think to your point, celebrating those little things is very motivating and inspiring to a lot of people to say, okay, it's a little thing. Cause I think a lot of people do shut down. Like this is this is a topic where you really feel like you're doing nothing and
Mhm.
you do something. And on that
Yeah.
smaller, making these small things in the town, I think, can really help.
Yeah.
No, so I like that question.
Is there any, I'm thinking like in this sort of preamble, we might want to point out a few different things like A, pilot, we're going to adjust.
Yep.
B, it's so embarrassing to do this stuff like on screen.
Mhm.
Um,
No judgment, none.
thank you. If we're at a whiteboard, that would be,
Right,
um,
right, right.
like we will follow up on stuff.
Mhm.
Like that if you tell us a good story, we might follow up. We might, if you tell us something that sounds unrealistic, we might come audit and say, like, oh,
Right,
you
right.
say that you don't do any styrofoam, but like
Right,
heard from some people that you do.
right, right.
Um, uh, like we want to celebrate you. So
Yeah.
share your wins.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, I don't know if we want to say something like, I don't know if we need any sort of like don't be mad at us if like the point, this is a little subjective. I don't want people arguing about like, oh, I should get a point for this. You didn't
Right.
give me the full like
Yeah.
ESC judges as like um the right to.
Yeah,
quantify.
assess green business fulfillment or competency or something there, like,
Yeah,
you
got it.
know, something like that.
Yeah,
Green business fulfillment. Yeah, something like we reserve.
Compliance or
Yeah,
like we will, don't come
nothing on
like
our, yeah,
to trying to like figure out the math.
exactly.
Any other, like obviously we'll write these nicer, but
Do you think that maybe the first, like the opening question can be something like, which, tell us a little bit about yourself, which one best describes you? And it's like, I have done nothing green. I'm a business in Wakefield. I've never even given this a thought. I'm just paraphrasing. But then like, I try to make green green choices when I can, but it's, not a lot, like something. So we like know where people are and we could say, listen, most people haven't really given that much thought to this, or like, just something where they can identify. Oh, there you go. Oh, you put that in there already.
what? Oh, yes,
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
typing
that's
that
it.
as you were saying it. Yep. Obviously we also want like, business name,
Right. Business name.
contact info. Maybe we'll separate those out, like email, like who you are, your name.
How
So
about
we know who to follow
location,
up with.
like areas like Lake, downtown, business district?
Yeah, do we want, like as a multiple choice
Yeah, like just like
or do
where,
we just want their address?
I mean, we could do that too. I just wonder if that would be like we'd be looking everything up. I guess there wouldn't be that many responses anyway, but just being like, where are you? Yeah, like Greenwood, right, exactly. And then maybe like a blank one, like other, yeah. And they can write in.
And we probably want type of business also, so we aren't having to look that up.
Yep, type of business would be good. Do
We
you
had the
want,
categories from the other survey.
would it also be helpful to have the size of the business, like less than 5, 25 to 50, something where we can gauge the size of it?
By employees, by revenue, by square footage.
Right, I know. I'm what, like employees to me equate waste. Like, like to me, it's like the more employees you have, the more waste you could possibly have. But I don't know. That's just my brain. Um, I don't, but maybe not if they have like a big warehouse and there's a few people in there and they create a lot of waste. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that works.
Are these weird numbers, 16 to 50?
I mean, I think it's, yeah, or even like,
Those, adjust those to make sense.
yeah, adjust those to make sense. I mean, yeah. Yeah, because even like the lawn care, I'm like, oh, how many people, like, how big is the lawn care business? Like, I don't know. Is it really small? Is it bigger? Like,
Yeah, I guess they're in the 6 to 15 range,
yeah,
but they might be
right.
more than 15. Is like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's like a right answer of like how to categorize those. I was thinking like, do we want to know if they own their space or rent it or like,
She could say, do you have a landlord or are you the owner?
yeah,
Right? Would that be a distinction? Right.
yeah, do you own the building?
Right. Or, yeah, or just, I guess they can just click on landlord. And like, but would it be worth asking? Like, does your business recycle? Like, is that in there somewhere?
Well, I mean, that would be one of the,
Oh, okay. It's down there. Okay, good.
yeah, I'll make these all of the point things from the list.
Oh, what do you do? Okay. Yeah, that's perfect. Yep. that covers it. So do you want to sum it up real quick?
Yeah. Let's go to review form.
So we have, okay.
I'll reorder some of these, but
Yep, tell us about yourself, business, email.
like boring stuff. Tell us who you are.
Yep.
Where are you?
Where are you? Type of business. How big is your business? I guess that's kind of the gist of that one, right? Or the size of your business.
Yeah.
Do you own the building? Use EV?
Okay, so then skip this. This is not actually.
Right,
then we would do the like this sort of thing. What of these do you do?
Yes. Yep.
Oh, except not that way. We said this way, right? Like
yeah.
For the one pointers, one of these. What of these do you do? Doing
Mhm.
this or doing that?
I think that's great because then that's a way of answering two different questions kind of in one grid.
Yeah. But we'll do these separately for like the one pointers, 3 pointers, and 5 pointers.
Exactly.
And
Yep.
then have a little bit of text, like be able to say, have EVs in my fleet or not give out straws, whatever it is.
Right.
I guess the benefit of doing it this way is we have a little more real estate for like explaining the things.
Yeah.
Whereas here, especially if we have four check boxes, this is going to just get a little crunchy.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
I get that.
So.
Right. Are you doing this? I mean, would 3 even help if we reduced it to 3 or not really?
Yeah, I think it probably would.
Yeah, because already doing this is, definite and then probably doesn't apply, I would say is a definite too. Maybe something with the.
I mean, we could even collapse those two, like interested or could use support getting this to happen, right? Like, I think those are similar enough.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so maybe we'll do that, and then it gives a little bit of real estate to write some extra stuff in there.
Yeah, okay. And so we do one of these for each of,
yep.
For like, so that was for the 1 pointers, and then the 3 pointers and the 5 pointers, and then tell us something you're especially proud of.
Love it.
Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I was thinking if you're like the wording of the last one, I like it, but I was thinking like, should we say, what's the number one thing that you do as a business that's great or something like that? I don't know if it's because I don't know if they'll get.
Yeah. The
I don't know. Maybe they will, but
green business thing you're especially proud of. That's
like something. Yeah, exactly. I think that covers a lot. Like we're gonna learn a lot about these businesses.
Yeah, and again, we'll follow up.
Yeah,
to learn more as we need to.
Yeah, this is all good to kind of see. Where we can help.
Yeah, and so I guess as a next step, we can make the form. I'll certainly want your eyes and Julie's eyes on it for like consistency. It makes sense and everything. And then what do we want to do? I mean, maybe that's like at our next meeting, we figure out the plan for how we actually want to distribute it.
Okay.
Or could we start on that? I mean, I don't know.
Is it, I mean, it's all a Google form, right? So do these businesses have emails or are we just sending it to info at, like, where are we getting that?
Like, how are we getting it to the businesses?
Yeah.
I think that's the question.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think there may be sort of two parts of the question. It's like, how do we get it to the businesses? Which could be a mix of a variety of things, but I think that's also, is there any other marketing around it? Like, do we make a flyer? Do we make, like, what is the language that we use to convey this new thing?
like,
announce
will
it.
you be a part of the, like something where it's like, assuming will you say yes to being a green business in Wakefield or green business certification in Wakefield, like something like that, or
Yeah, you participate in this pilot of, yeah.
something like
Yeah. And then, so I think, one thing is what's the language or the, visual to package this and give it to folks. And then separately is what emails do we send it to? Do we put it on, cards and send, bring them door to door? Do we put it in the item? Do we put it in the community group? Like, I mean, we could put it all sorts of places. We could do a
right.
whole blitz.
People can click on that. Yep. And I'm wondering if from there, not that we want to do paper anything, but I was like,
Right.
some of these, like, is there that option of like a paper copy and they can mail it back or something? I don't
Oh,
know.
a paper form?
Yeah. I mean, not that we want to even get into that, but I'm just thinking of like,
If a business, let's not offer it, but if a business said, I'm allergic to Google Forms, we
right,
could
right.
have them call us and we enter it on their
Oh, we
behalf.
entered it. Okay. Yeah. I like that too. Yeah. Good idea. Okay.
Because I think we want all the answers to end up in the same spreadsheet.
Right.
So, we would have to plunk it into the Google form anyway, whether they call us or fill it
Right.
out on paper or
Right.
something else.
Yep.
But it could be easy to put a QR code to the form
Way
on,
easier. Yeah.
like on a little
Right.
postcard or business card size thing like we did for the EV showcase, and just, walk around and give them out.
Right. I think we should also market it as like a 5-minute survey or something like
Yeah,
something
yeah,
that's
yeah.
like, it's not going to take a long time.
Yeah. Cool. Okay.
And then, yeah.
Is that something you'd want to take a stab at, like the language around that stuff?
Yeah, definitely. I could do that.
Awesome. Okay.
Like in terms of promoting it and
Yeah.
like
Like
just,
assuming there is a link, what else is around it to say, participate in this thing. It's a 5-minute survey.
yeah,
Here's what you might get as a benefit.
yeah, benefits. Yeah, I can do that.
And maybe like a super short and a longer version of that. Right? Like if we're going to put it on a business card, it is, one sentence.
Right.
And if we're, putting a flyer up on the
Right.
on the community page or in the item, we can have something much longer.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, is it something that can go in like those, little display things and
Absolutely. Yeah. And then you have 11 by 17.
right, there you go. 11 by 17, yeah. And then I can plug it in that way.
Yep. But I do think we also could have, like Erin could send it out through her business emails, the chamber.
Yep.
We could go to a chamber breakfast and, pass out little cards. I'm trying to not pass out like whole big flyers if we can help it.
Yeah, I think that's smart.
And do we want to put it on our website?
I think so.
Because we could totally have a tab on our website that is the description and the link to the form.
I think that's great. Yeah. I think the link, like that's where you're really going to get people, they're going to click on it and just fill it out. Or there's just that extra step, like QR code. It's fine. I can do it, but like I think a lot of people, it's like that extra step, like, oh, I'm not ready to fill out that right now. Like, so when they're at their computer, they're more apt.
Right. Yep.
To just click on it.
Yeah. And I mean, Jen can put a new page on our website. So we can design a page that is, explains the program with the link. And then that can also be eventually where we post, these are the businesses that have achieved that status.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a lot in this for businesses, like, especially it being new, like there's, be part of this. This is something cool. And then do we know how we're going to find out? Yeah, we're not going to email directly to them. We'll just put it on sites and everything.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Because I know like a lot of businesses have like, info at, like
Well,
the
and we could do some
generic,
targeted.
right?
We
Like
could, like,
some,
if they're particular businesses, we could go find their email
yeah,
addresses. Like certainly the 5 that took our survey, our
right,
interest
right.
survey,
Like I was just
we
thinking
can
of that.
send
Yeah,
it to them.
right.
Yeah.
Like
And if
them,
they're
and then
particular businesses that we want, we can go dig up their email
yeah,
addresses.
something.
Yeah.
Or maybe just some of the like, I'm just thinking the bigger ones downtown that maybe are, especially restaurant food businesses that might be a little more hands-on and not as at the computer as much as maybe some of the other businesses are.
Right.
So maybe.
Cool. Cool, cool, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. All right. So I'm gonna, just for me, I'm working on the wording of things with that survey and figuring out how that's gonna look and sound to people.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, cool. That works. Anything else?
I think that's good.
Okay.
Yeah. And then like next meeting, maybe we review all of those things and start sending it.
I mean, yeah, I'd say just hit the ground running, right? Like just set it up, send it out there.
Yeah. So then I think our remaining order of business is pick a date for the next meeting, which would tentatively be Wednesday, February 21st.
Is that, I think that's during like a break.
During February break.
I'm okay with that.
I am too.
Yeah, that doesn't affect me. We're not going anywhere, but
Yeah. Okay. 7:30.
yeah, 7:30 is great. And if Julie needs it later, you guys decide, I'm okay with anything.
Any other matters not anticipated?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Well, then I suggest we adjourn.
Okay.